Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. As you saw in the last video, we got the front bag cups figured out, cut out, cut out, tacked up, and fully welded and fully painted. Well, they're painted. They're drying. We're letting them do their thing. They can sit there for as long as they need. As next, we're getting started on the rear. Well, getting back on the rear. We need to set in the crossbar. I'm not sure. I gotta use the spreader to spread it like 1/8 of an inch, 3/16 of an inch. Then, or before, we need to do the brake line. It's time to figure out where everything's going in the back when it comes to the airbag, the factory brake line, and the factory stuff. Then once we get placement and everything figured out where it's gonna go, then we can work on the air management. I'm going to attempt, since it looks like there's plenty of space down here, the tank and the valve manifold is gonna go on the passenger side down there. Looks like plenty of room. So we will get to that when it's time. Will it focus? Maybe. Moving right along and getting this lightning out of here. It's hanging out a little longer than expected, but I want to get everything done that the customer wants to get done in one shot. That way he don't have to come back. So we'll go ahead and start drawing up and figuring out the placement for the bags. First step I need to do is I need to go ahead and cut out 2 upper plates and 2 lower plates. Let's go get them cut out and started. I already have all the mounts figured out. The bottom one's gonna go right up against in a hair, maybe a 3/16 on top of that mount right there, because I'd like to keep the sway bars. And then I'm gonna come off of there with 2 swing arms, and they're gonna come down and be welded onto there. And I'll turn these plates around, and I'll probably weld them on like this, so the fittings, nope, we'll do it the other way, because these are gonna come down like this, or leave the thing come back like this. I might, I don't know if I wanna, no, I'm not gonna wanna push them down, so we'll do the plates up front, and then we can run the line, this one over And then that one is gonna come this way and then loop back around and match it, because you want your air lines to be the exact same length. If you don't, then one side will raise up faster than the other because of volume. Less volume in the airline. All right, let's go draw these up, get them cut, and then we'll tack everything together and test fit it. Next step is to go ahead and clean up the bridge bar. We went ahead and spread that apart a little bit to get that out of there. You can see the hole where it goes in. Went ahead and modified where the brake line goes into the axle. I just flipped it around. Instead of it facing forward and then trying to go around the axle and then back up to the frame, now it's facing this way and can just do a nice clean bend right up to where we need it. The axle mounts were just tacked together to see how they worked. They work great, so we can go ahead and weld them up. Like I already said, we need to go ahead and clean up the bridge bar. I have it marked. We need to clean it up from here all the way back, all the way around. We'll fully weld these together since we know they work. And then I was going to weld these on the table using this mock-up pipe and everything, but I think I'm gonna go ahead and stick them on the pipe and set them on, and then go ahead and tack all this stuff together, and it'll be welded on the truck. That way everything will be true and square. I don't want to go put it on and this plate not be where it needs to be the distance away from that pipe. Hey, if you haven't yet and you're enjoying this video, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Turn on notifications. That way you get notified when other content comes in here and gets some work done. Everything is prepped and ready to be tacked on. Couldn't really get a good angle from the camera, but I was over here cleaning up the axle, getting it nice and shiny where I'm gonna weld it. We already welded up the lowers. They are ready to go. I did it a little bit earlier before we prepped the axle and prepped the tube and prepped all that stuff. That way these had time to cool down. You won't see these. They're gonna be completely upside down, but you know what? Still killer welds. So like I said, we'll go ahead, set these on, measure them where I want, make sure they're evenly spread or evenly distanced off the notch. We'll get everything tacked in, and then we'll cycle it through, make sure it works. And if I like it, which I'm sure I will, then we'll go ahead and burn it in. Once that's done, then we can go ahead and figure out the brake line. But before I do that, we'll go ahead and paint everything. We'll get everything one color, then we'll do the brake line, and we'll mount the fuel lines that you see right there. I'll mount those on the notch with a clip, just like I did with the other Lightning. After that's done, all the air ride, we can bolt it all in. Bolt it in the front, bolt it in the back, and start doing the air management. The front will run the airline before we bolt them in, but we'll get the air management done. It's going underneath the cab. Probably the manifold's gonna go here, air tank will go there on the frame, on the side of it. Same with the compressor. The compressor's gonna go under here as well. I'll make a mount for the compressor. Maybe I should do the compressor inside the frame rail here. Have it sit like right here. Not sure, we'll see. Because that big old hole right there, we can bring the line from the compressor out into the tank. But we'll get to that once we get the rear all tacked in and set up and then welded in fully. Now that we have all this tacked up, even has space between the factory sway bar brackets. And that's low. That's 6 inches lower than what it was. There's space to weld around it on the axle tube next to the factory clamps for the sway bar. Like I said, I want to keep all that stuff on there. So now we'll go ahead and slap the fittings on the airbags and test those and make sure they're all sealed up so we can do a dry run. Once we do a test, cycle the suspension through. I'm not gonna use any air yet, but we're gonna just cycle it through and make sure there's no odd angles, everything looks good. Then we can fully weld the back up. Then we'll go ahead and paint it. That way we can get that brake line, fuel line, and all that figured out. Then we can go ahead and work on the air management. Once the air management is done, then we gotta cut that bed and work on that roll pan. All sealed up. That's why all of them but one, the factory Teflon that came with it worked. Or the Teflon putty, Teflon, whatever it was. I had, as you saw, I had to even redo some of the stuff I put on. Always test for leaks before putting stuff in the truck. It'll really, or car, it'll really help in the long run. Just use some dish soap and some water. And then you just literally make you a little male to male valve and a female that accepts it. And these are good too, because if you have a chuck on your tank, you can connect this to the tank and then connect that to an air hose, a buddy's truck. If your compressor dies, always add an air chuck. I always recommend adding an air chuck to someone's tank. I have them on all my vehicles. I'm able to use power tools, air up my tires anytime I want. On the chop, it's the gas door. And on the blue Silverado, it's behind a panel, behind the tailgate. You put tailgate down, take a little panel off, and it's accessible. You can make a remote one, move it anywhere you want. They're very versatile. So now that they're leak-free, we are good to go on them. We'll go ahead and stick them in the truck and, like I said, cycle them through. Nothing touches, which they shouldn't. I put them in a good place. And then we'll go ahead and, like I said, weld those brackets up solid, all of them. Get them painted, brake line, get all that done. Everything done back here except for installing the bags and air lines. And I may go ahead and also cut that bed before we do the air management, but probably not. I'll probably do the air management next after we get this completed, and then we'll do the bed last. Hey, a friendly reminder, if you aren't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Ring that bell. That way you get notified when new content comes in. All painted and ready to go. We'll go ahead and let that dry for a little bit. Then we'll go ahead and put the sway bar back together onto the axle and back to the frame. We'll get the leaf springs. Well, before we get the leaf springs and before we set the bags into place, we will get the fuel lines. We'll get the brake line. We'll get all that figured out and back into place. Then we'll put the bags in, get the shackle back into place, and then get everything buttoned back up back here. And then we can start working on the air management. We'll start after we get the cardboard off as well, off that back window. When we go to do the air management, we'll start kind of mocking up and see where things will fit down there. All right, that's it for the back, except for one thing. Can you spot it? Shocks. The shocks don't really work out with the notch yet. As you can see, it goes right there. So if that axle were to come up, it's going to hit that notch. That's why that frame was factory notched there. That's where the shocks went. And on this side, it's the notch plus a little bit of the fuel lines. Because of the notch, we had to pull the fuel lines out because normally they are inside the frame and go down the rail. Well, now it looks like those fuel lines are slightly in the way. So they have to be bent the opposite way they are, which I don't know if that's gonna work because as you see, they're hitting the upper shock mount. But we have everything else in clearance around the bags. As you can see, plenty of clearance around them. None of the lines are touching. You can see there's a gap underneath that line. Well, I'll have to zip tie that down to where it doesn't touch, just like so. Hey, focus, where you at? Yeah. All the lines, all the wiring. The brake line I had to shorten. Let's see if we'll get it to, this wire loom is just setting against it. But I had to shorten, reflare the end of the brake line. Before we mess with the shocks, we'll go ahead and bleed the rear brakes. Next up, we'll go ahead and tack all of these brackets together. As you saw, already had and welded up quite a bit of material. I mean, it's a little excessive, but why not? Welded up the spacers on the inside that I needed. And you'll see how this all comes together. And this should be the last piece of the puzzle to the suspension in the rear. We'll go ahead and get those tacked up. We'll bolt them up, and then we'll cycle the suspension and make sure that shock doesn't touch anything and it isn't fully compressed when aired out, and it's not fully extended when aired up, when you got air in the airbag and it extends the axle from the notch. Loving the way everything's coming out already. If you need any work done, don't be afraid to hit me up. And if you haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Turn on notifications, that way you get notified as new videos come out. Either it's new content or updates on current projects. Really excited the way everything's turning out on this. This is all the way compressed, and there's plenty of clearance. It's at the bottom of the notch. As you can see, there's clearance there. The sway bar, there's clearance all the way around. This sway bar can actually be loosened right there and be shifted over a little, because there's a little more space on this side than that side. But there's still clearance, so that's fine. When it comes to the fuel lines I was worried about, nothing touches. There's clearance there. And the same with the bottom of the notch there, the sway bar there. Like I said, see how much there's more room on this side of the sway bar and the shock. That could be shifted over, but that's all good. Now let's go ahead and let it release all of its pressure, and we'll show you. And same with the fuel lines and the airbag. When it's compressed, it's the same way. Showed you earlier, nothing's touching. Same with the shocks again. It lightly very lightly touches the e-brake cable. So I may do something with that. But if not, that's very, very, very minor. But nothing touches, sway bars clear. Both sides again. So we could say the rear, and I did tighten up all the bolts while it was in its compressed state. And like I said, yeah, rear is done. Plenty of gap, nothing touches, sway bars. Like I said, this just rests here. Maybe I'll take the mount and put it here if it becomes an issue. Loosen it here, maybe that, and then put this cable on the other side of the shock. Like that one is. See how that one's on the inside? Maybe this one needs to be on the inside, I'm not sure. But I would have to move this to here to be able to, because there's no room to move it. We will see. I don't think it's anything major. But the rear's done. Time to start on air management. getting a lot done. I already have the frame drilled for the tank brackets. The tank brackets and the compressor brackets are already welded up. The tank brackets are already painted. These will get bolted up here in a second. That way we can figure out where we're putting the compressor, which I already have an idea. The compressor is gonna, there's a leg right there gonna go, and then another one right there. We'll drill some bolts. We just got back from getting the hardware. A whole bunch of nuts and bolts for all this stuff. We still have to drill out the holes for the compressors on here, but I want to get them kind of on the frame and make sure we have the holes. I already have them marked, but I want to make sure those will work perfectly. And as you already saw, we went ahead and checked all the threads on the tank, and they are all now clean. I guess I need to zoom in and ready to go. All right, like I said, we'll keep moving forward, get this knocked out. This is exactly how I imagined it. I reused the factory exhaust hanger cut that down so it's not in the way. The bolt, which I could have left it, but I don't want it in the way for that port. And this will be low enough to be out of the way. And then we have the compressor right here. It's going to either connect right here, or I'll have it loop around and something connect over here. But more than likely, I'll just have it connect right here. That way it's out of the way, the hose won't touch nothing. And then I'll put a 90 here and run that line up and right into here. And that's where the air for that is. Let me show you down here. I would really have liked to mount it sideways against the frame, but then the drain, you wouldn't have a drain. There's nothing on the side. So there's some brackets there. I had to make it to where whatever the line this is has room, doesn't touch. It goes right behind it and bolts to it. And then we can run pressure switches, whatever we need off of here. And as you can see, the tank doesn't touch anything all the way back. So there's plenty of clearance. It's an aluminum tank, it's light. The brackets are probably heavier duty than they need to be, but I'd rather be safe than sorry. And the tank is not the lowest part of the frame. The transmission cross member and the trailing arm mounts, or the arms in the front that go to the I-beams, that right there, that mount and the trans cross member are lower by at least a couple inches. So they won't have...
Oh my gosh!
All right, sorry about that. Wasn't paying no attention and my phone died. I've been so busy knocking this stuff out that I didn't pay attention to my phone. All right, as I was saying, the tank is not the lowest item, the lowest point, and it's all bolt-in. That way, if he ends up going lower and putting a 4-link on here and getting it as low as he can, then all this can be removed and moved somewhere else. There is no space under here. You've got 1 gas tank, 2 gas tank, exhaust. The tank really wouldn't fit up under the cross member. I mean, I guess I could have tucked it up in there, but again, I don't want to mount it sideways. I want it straight up and down so we can take advantage of the drain that's on the tank. It is an aluminum tank, which is nice. All right, so the next thing is, as you can hear the booms today with me talking and stuff like that, it is 4th of July. It's 8:30 at night. I'm gonna go ahead and call it. That way I can go and eat some dinner, hang out with the wife, enjoy some fireworks. But when we get back on it first thing in the morning, we're gonna go ahead and pull the tank, get all the fittings on that tank, get all the fittings on the manifold, get the airline hooked up, get the front bags in, and then wiring. And then, like I said, inside, I'm gonna make a dual gauge pod because he has a boost gauge for the supercharger. I keep talking about this supercharger. Very nice, huh? I bet this thing is fun. As the customer says, it is now boosted and bagged. All right, we'll get back on it first thing in the morning. Like I said, we'll get all the fittings in, make sure we have everything. I believe I have all the fittings. We have airline, the controller, pressure switch, all the sensors for the digital gauge. Depending how this works, I might start to use this in my builds as it's 1 gauge that 5 does. In my blue truck, my Silverado, I have 3 gauges. A single needle for the tank, and then 2 double needles for each one of those. All right, everyone. Have a good night. Excuse me. Have a good night and happy 4th of July. I'll see you in the morning. pressure test to make sure everything's sealed. I'll grab the soap from over there and I'll spray down all the fittings and make sure we don't have any leaks. Got the gauge hooked up to it. And as you can see, we're at, 84, 85 PSI. So we'll go ahead and do a leak test. If anything leaks, we will re-Teflon it and seal it up. Once that tank is sealed up, we'll go ahead and pull this fitting. This fitting here is where the compressor will screw into. But we'll get the tank mounted up underneath there, and then we'll mount the compressor, and then we'll connect the compressor to the tank, and that part's done. We'll grab the mount for the manifold that's already painted. We'll stick it on, and then we can plumb all the air lines. We'll get the front installed, drill the hole, and put a grommet where we need to if the air line's gonna go through this plate up front that we talked about before. And then once all the air lines ran, then I'm gonna start all the wiring. Once the wiring, during the wiring, I keep saying we're gonna bend up a gauge pod out of some thin material for 2 gauges, and I'll bend it and put it where he has the boost gauge. And then once all the air ride's in, everything's working, we can stand that bed up, cut that support bar, and then see what we're doing with that roll pan. And then we're done. truck is officially bagged. As you saw, the front was all put together. The hole was drilled. I didn't film it, but there is protection where that line comes through on both sides. Let's see if we can get back there. Yeah. I did that on both sides. That way that airline won't rub anything, pop a puncture a hole. I still need to tie everything up, but I have not done electrical. Electrical is the last thing left. All the bags are mounted, the shocks are in, the airlines ran. All I have to do now is electrical, like I said. Then we can put the wheels on, cut the bed, we'll stand it up, cut the bed, and then figure out, like I keep saying, if we're welding up that roll pan. But that's about it. I'm gonna run to the store now, and we're gonna go pick up some power wire for the compressor and a relay and anything else I might need to finish this job. Hey, if you haven't yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Turn on notifications. That way you get notified when I get more content coming out. All right, this one's closing up soon. This one's about done. Can't wait to get the electrical hooked up. I still need to slap that filter on. I won't forget that. I need to pull that plug and screw in the filter. The tank's all hooked up. Like I said, that line comes out, goes into the manifold, compressor. Its lead line don't touch anything. The ground, I'll run it through the frame right there on the factory opening. Then we'll bolt it to the back side of these brackets. I'll clean up the frame, make sure there's good contact. And we'll get this all wired up. We gotta run a fuse from the battery. Well, it'll be a lead. It'll go from the battery to a fuse and then down to a relay that I'll mount somewhere up there. All right, so close to being done. All the wiring's done, plumbing's done, everything's hooked up, power's reconnected. I didn't bore y'all with all the wiring video. Some of it you saw, did a lot of back and forth of just not really anything y'all could see, but I can go ahead and show you now. Got everything hooked up. The fuse, wire loomed it. The relay's connected right here, so it's easily accessible. and nothing's touching. Tank's hooked up, like I said, wire loomed. Down here, you can see there's the 2 sensors hooked up. In here, I still have to hook up the gauge and make a mount for it. Put the kick panel back in, put the trim back in. As you can see, nice and clean. That wire to the right goes to the controller. We'll put all this back together, and then we'll go in, draw up, and then cut the mount for the gauge. Before I do that, more than likely, we'll go ahead and test everything. The customer has 24s for it, and that is 2 3/4, almost 3 inches bigger. So you're about 1.5 inches taller than where it's at now. And so he'll have a few inches to lift it and to get it above the wheel and comfortable. And then in the back, it's 5-6 inches lower than it was. So he'll be able to tuck that 24 nicely. Got the roll pan on. The gap, had to make sure there's a big enough gap so when that tailgate opens, it doesn't hit it. I'll tie up those tag lights for him real quick. But it looks good. I'll show you the inside. Let me get the key out of my pocket for you. It's all nice and clean. The switch box is right here next to the seat. Nice and easily accessible. And the gauge pod is right here. Excuse the beeping for a second. And there it is right there. We'll go around the other side and show you everything's hidden, nice and clean. This is just, like I said, a bolt-in kit. This is just to dial in, which it's still nice and low. This is just to dial it in at the height and fitment he wants when the 24s are on. Wanted a hair more lift in the front, and then he wanted to lower the rear. So he'll be able to do all that. Let's go ahead and show you the inside. Like I said, all tucked away, nice and clean. No wires. That blue wire is not mine, that's factory, I think. Wire loomed all the wires together, tucked up out of the way, hidden. And nothing in the back. This video is gotten really long. I apologize about that. I figured I'd only have a few minutes left to finish it. Well, that got well out of hand, and now here we are at about 1.5 hours. I should have probably went ahead and stopped at 45 minutes, and then I would have had a video for y'all last week. But I figured, hey, I got time. I could just knock it out. What's it gonna add, another 15 minutes? Nope, we added another 45 minutes to the video. And if you've made it this long, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Share this for me, comment on it. Let's get the algorithm going. But next, I'm gonna go ahead and pull it out, do some test driving on it, and it's done. As always, I wanna say and thank everyone for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.